Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Twin Peaks, Season 1, Episode 2. It's called Traces to Nowhere. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. Couple of quick points before we even just get to the episode. We have discovered that the numbering of the episodes varies a little bit between different releases. The current complete Blu-ray box set just numbers them pilot, and then this is considered episode 1, and then it just runs from 1 through 29 rather than splitting up by season. So there is a couple of numbering differences between versions, but this is the one after the pilot, and we're just going to keep continuing with this numbering we've started with.
Yeah.
So just be on the lookout for that. Second thing is, do forgive us, we're still learning the names, and there's a lot of names. We've got a list up, we'll have it for reference, but a lot of characters. A lot of them.
So many.
Before we started recording, we were going over them, and we were trying to describe the connections between each of the characters, and we were getting into this right tangled web.
And it took us about a good 5 minutes just to go through who each person was at its core level.
Yeah, so forgive us for that, but yeah, let's get into this. This is episode 2, and I think what strikes me about episode 2 is I don't think there was this is a very serialized show. I don't feel like there was a plot that began and ended in this episode.
There wasn't. There was no hook for this episode other than let's just carry on with what we were doing.
Yeah, I mean, the cliffhanger at the end is kind of a hook, I guess, in the sense that it keeps you coming back for the next one.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because you accept, that was a reveal. But yeah, there was no kind of clear, this is what this episode's about. It was just kind of the next part of everything.
Yeah, it's not even often when you have these serialized shows, you will have one character has an arc of some sort in the episode, and there wasn't even that really.
Which is not a bad thing. It does make it a little bit more difficult for me to structure this conversation. I feel like instead of doing my usual thing where I'll take the A plot, we'll talk about the A plot, then we'll do B. And I guess the case is always the A plot.
But then the B plot is every relationship gets kind of equal amount of time almost.
And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of characters in this episode who just get the one scene.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's fine, but it does mean it's almost, we're going through a list just to make sure we've hit all the characters as we talk about it, because there's so much going on. As far as the case goes, though, this is not quite the case, but Cooper. We're talking about Cooper here.
Yeah. We
started the episode with him hanging upside down, talking to poor old Diane, or the recorder for Diane, and he's talking once again. He's looking forward to the cup of coffee because he's very satisfied with the hotel. It's affordable, it's clean, as he kept emphasising in the first episode. But
and he says he'll report back in.
Joe cracked me up. He said he'll report back in with his thoughts on the coffee soon, and then immediately, 5 seconds later, he turned the recorder back on and went, "Dan, I've just had a thought about the assassination of JFK."
Yeah, and Marilyn Monroe linked with the Kennedys.
Yeah.
It's such a random, it's a full-on shower thought. It's just popped into his head. He's like, Diane needs to hear this.
Diane needs to. That poor woman. This is going to be a running theme, I think, for these reviews. That poor woman, Diane. I sympathise with her so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets his coffee, and obviously this is a famous moment that everyone likes to meme and sort of joke about, is that it's a damn fine cup of coffee. What I love about it, though, is that the waitress pours the cup, and she's about to leave, and he's like, wait. And he makes her wait there as he smells it, and then takes the drink. And then that's when you get the famous gif of the smile appearing across his face. But I love that he makes the waitress wait, so that he can...
Yeah, it's like, look, if this is shit, you're going to hear about it.
But it's just, he then describes how good it is to her. He really compliments her. So it's a good thing in a sense, but it's such a character quirk that he insists on doing this.
It's a whole thing as well, when he's ordering his breakfast. It's very specific.
Oh yeah, he wants his bacon cremated.
Yes.
And he wants his eggs done whatever way he said it. Yeah.
Extra hard.
And Audrey actually comes and has a little chat with him. Kind of fishing for information, I guess. But she comes up and asks to sit down and talks about Laura a little bit. And so that connection has been made there. I don't think super amount came out of the scene in particular.
No, it was just him meeting and again just placing the relationships of who's connected to who, much the same as how we still are.
Yeah, perhaps she was even, I'd argue, flirting a little bit. She kept trying to bring up her diamond, and
I would say she definitely was.
Yeah. He goes to the police station, and everyone's stuffing their face. So much so that when he gets into the sheriff, he says 3 for 3 because he's the third person in a row that he's run into in the station that's stuffing their face. And he actually goes through an itinerary of everything they need to do that day, and the entire time, because the sheriff, as he walks in, is stuffing his pastry good. I'm not quite sure exactly what it is, but he's stuffing his face with it. He takes a big bite, and the entire time while Cooper's talking, he's like,
just try to chew through it and get it done before he needs to talk.
Yeah, and Cooper finishes speaking, mentions how good the coffee was at the hotel, and says, "I really need to go pee," and he leaves, and that's finally when he just goes, "Gulp," and swallows. So some of that sort of offbeat humour that you see in this again.
It is rather amusing.
So yeah. So what do they do in this episode? They see a bunch of people. They interrogate James and get information from him about shooting the video, and he tells them about Laura leaving. Like, he's seen her on the night of her murder. She left. She seemed upset about something. She'd gotten off the cocaine, but she was back on it. He wasn't sure why, but she seemed scared.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the first time we got the cocaine confirmed by another character, I believe.
Yeah, someone actually said, yeah.
Because at this point, it was still like Cooper was saying, no, this is obviously what was going on, but everyone else was like, no, that's not her.
Yeah, Cooper also seems fairly sure that he's innocent, and he lets him go. Even to the point where he makes sure Bobby gets let out later, so that, if it's at the same time, obviously you've got the risk of them crossing paths, and he knows that Bobby and his friend are wanting to beat him up, so potentially kill him. Also, autopsy report. We got the post-mortem report, which one of the details that I did remember is that she had sex with at least 3 people within 12 hours of her death.
Yeah.
Which, obviously Cooper speculated about a lot of things in the last episode, but that really, oh right, she was leading some absurd double life at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
That no one seemed to know about how, all this stuff. I mean,
you've got James, Bobby, plus, in theory, the killer.
Yes.
So that's 3 right there. So, but then, is there more?
As well, I'd argue there's one at the end of the episode that's implied might
That's true, but within those 12 hours, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 4 potential.
And knowing this show, it'll probably just say, no, it was none of them. There was a gangbang just before the time of death. May
well have been.
Yeah, but no. So yeah, more facts. We get that from the doctor. Simple little character bits that I liked is that he knows her. He knew her personally. It's his daughter's best friend. I liked a little touch that he couldn't do it himself. He got another doctor to come in and do the postmortem because he couldn't.
Yeah, he can't just be impartial about it.
Simple little things like that. Just these character, which we're still very much learning because it is such a web of characters that are all connected to each other.
I feel like we'll be learning for at least the first 4 or 5 episodes.
I'll be surprised if we start the 2017 season and have it sorted out by then.
Okay, I feel maybe the show will stop teaching us by 4 or 5 episodes.
Okay, yeah, maybe you may be right.
Because this still, obviously we said this about the pilot with it being extra long, was just introducing. This was still furthering and teaching us who these people are. Whereas I feel like we might have a bit firmer grasp and the show won't need to just tell us everything by that point.
Yeah. So Cooper and the sheriff, they go and speak to Jocelyn Packard, who's running the mill, and they ask her about, and this was one of the things I was laughing about in this episode, is that Laura had an absurd amount of things she was involved in. She did the Meals for Wheels, she helped Audrey's brother who was mentally disabled, and she helped him sort of try to help learn read and write and that kind of thing.
She was teaching this woman English.
He was teaching this woman English. Yeah, this was the final straw where I started laughing. I went, how much good stuff was she doing for people? This is too much.
Yeah.
How does she even have time for a double life? She spends most of her time doing
cocaine. The cocaine's just like, oh, I'm off my head. Let's go do some stuff.
It must be. No wonder she needed cocaine to doing all this crap on a daily basis. God, yeah. I mean, the cocaine and possible prostitution aside, she's online for a Humanitarian of the Year award.
She really is.
But so we learned that about her. Fun little bit there as well. Again, showing how good Cooper is. as soon as Jocelyn walks away, he turns to the sheriff and goes, "So how long have you been seeing each other?"
Yeah.
Which is actually, there's a line in the other scene just after they let Bobby and his buddy go, where the sheriff says, "I'm starting to feel like Watson." He cracks a joke about he should get into medicine because he's starting to feel like Dr. Watson.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, fun banter. They're developing a good banter between them, so that's good. And after that, we're back to Pie. Oh, obviously, by the way, in that scene with Jocelyn, Pete, who's married to the sister of the man who used to own the mill that Jocelyn was married to, but now he's dead, which is why she's seeing the sheriff. So it's not an affair. This is actually perfectly legitimate. Secret,
probably one of the only ones that's not just an affair.
Yeah, probably one of the only ones. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, to be fair, Donna and James now.
I suppose.
Now that Laura's dead, he's free. He's free to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's quick, but it's allowable.
It's a bit quick. I'll grant you. But yeah, there's a funny thing in this scene where he serves him coffee, but he comes in and tells him not to drink the coffee because there was a fish. There's a fish.
Their faces are gold as well. Just pure comedy genius.
Yeah, but they end up going to the diner, and there's a whole thing from another plot line about the pie at the diner. How someone wants a slice of pie. So he asks for a slice of pie, and he's talking about the cherry pie. In fact, at one point, he says to someone on the phone, "Oh, by the way, if you're up this way, go to the diner he was talking about in the last episode, with the pie when he was like driving in." He mentions that again. So, as much as it's such a stupid little detail, it doesn't matter. I like the fact that they're coming back. I was like, "Oh, the pie out there."
I think that's the thing. Like, as well as the coffee, he's really into his food as well.
Yeah.
Like the pie is very particular and has very in tune tastes. Obviously, like his breakfast as well. It's all showing these very specifics.
Yeah. And the sheriff even jokes about his metabolism being silly good.
Yeah.
So, some more Logley did in that scene when he's getting his pie.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure how else you categorize it other than weird, but then probably sums up most of this show, doesn't it?
I'll tell you how you categorise it. You categorise it by lynching.
Makes sense.
My log saw something that night, she said.
Yes.
To which Cooper says, "What did the log see?" And she says, "Why don't you ask him?"
Was it him or it?
I can't remember. I feel like she should have said him, but I don't know. I'm
Right.
Alright, small detail. I'll pick up on it next time she refers to her log.
Yeah, I want to know if it's got a gender or if it's just if she's aware it's an inanimate object.
What pronoun was she using? Yeah, this is a good question. These are the hard questions we need to ask people. Hard questions.
I think it's very important. It could really lead us onto something.
Yeah. So as far as things going on about the case from other scenes, we actually find out about the money that was in her safety deposit box. We find out that was money that she was hiding for Bobby, who is in some sort of cahoots with Leo, who is the abusive husband of Shelley, who works at the diner.
Yep.
And because his friend are like, "Oh, we're meant to pay Leo back today. We're meant to get the money back."
Yeah.
He's like, "I give him half, but the other half was in Laura's deposit box," which obviously they can't get now. The police have seized that. That's evidence.
Yeah.
It's whatnot. So again, these connections all cropping up.
Yeah, and then obviously that leads us to Leo, I guess.
Well, before we go to that, I just want to point out that Bobby in that scene, he's like, "I'm not scared of Leo," and he gives this big man show about how he's a big man, he doesn't care about Leo. But in the last episode, he shat himself when he's going home with Shelley and he sees that Leo's home. He's like, "Oh crap," and he gets really scared.
Yeah.
So, the
bravado,
hypocrisy.
depending on who he's around.
Yeah, exactly. It is showing who he thinks he can be a big man in front of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Leo's an interesting character. He's probably the worst acted character in the show, but at the same time, I can't help but enjoy the absurdity of the scenes.
I agree.
Because all I could think about from Shelley's point of view, so the first time we see them in this episode, she comes out and he's working in his truck, and she says, "Oh, I'm going to the diner now, it's time for work." And he's like, "Did you wash my boots?"
Yeah, it was very... I'm not sure of the right word to describe it.
It's over because even when the worst kind of demanding husband making expecting the wife to do everything, even the worst examples of that I don't think are this ridiculous.
It's not. This has properly been turned up, hasn't it?
Yeah, to the point where I'm like, how what did Shelley ever see in him to Like,
Yeah.
you know, what did he pretend to be nice for like a couple of years, and then it just like turned at one point? You know, is that what
It does
happened?
feel like it feels like this can't have been gradual
Yeah, it doesn't feel
because of
like it.
how over the top it is. It feels like it feels like he's always been like that though.
Yeah, because he mentions the boots, and she's like, "Yeah, I did the boots," and then she brings up the laundry. She says, "I also did the laundry," and he goes, "All of it?" Like, well, yeah, all of it. And he's like, he pulls out a big sack of laundry out of his truck, which I guess he was doing long distance trucking, which is why he's got laundry in his truck. And he throws it at her. He's like, "Yeah, do that." He's like, "Oh, I'll do that when I get home from work." She's like, "No, now." Like, she brought the laundry up. You didn't even bring it. You only mention it because she brought it up.
Well, maybe he was going to, and he just thought, "Oh, this is a nice segue in the conversation. This'll do."
Connor's sympathising with Leo. I want that to be
I'm
known
not
right
sympathising.
now. Yes, you are.
I'm just,
You're trying to explain.
I'm just saying, maybe he was going to be a dick either way, and we just didn't get. He just didn't get a chance to be a dick on his own terms.
But of course, the plot point that comes out of this is that in the laundry there is a denim jacket or a denim shirt, which is covered in blood.
Yeah, and it's proper covered as well. It's not like a little bit. It's over most of it.
Yeah, it's soaked, and she's putting it in the machine, and she decides to plank it in the drawers that are next to it.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they have a lot of stuff outside. It's kind of weird, actually.
They do. I was thinking that.
Yeah, but whatever. She puts it in the drawer next to it, and then he's upset throughout the episode because he can't find it. He gets pissed. He's like, "Oh, where's that shirt? That's important." I'm like, "Don't put it in the sack with the rest of the washing, and then angrily throw it at your wife when you want it washed." Just this is your fault, Leo.
It is, isn't it? It's like, look, you knew it was there. You gave it to her.
Which is why when she comes home and he puts the soap in the sock and he's getting ready to beat the crap out of her, it's like, this is actually, you're telling her that she's disrespecting your property and losing it. You gave it to her, knowing it was in there. In fact, it's probably, and even if let's say it wasn't, we know she planked it, we know she found it and she put it away, but let's assume that didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
And he still did this. It'd have been him that lost it.
It would. It's just a dick, that's all.
It is just a dick. She even brought him pie. She brought him home pie.
I know. What is wrong with this guy?
Shelley's
pie.
Shelley's lovely. In this, it was before she left for work as well. When he mentions the pie the first time, he comes in. He's like, "I might come by a dinner today, and maybe you could be a good girl and send me some pie." And as he's doing it, he's like sort of pinching her cheek, but it's not just like a nice little thing. It's like she's like,
proper grab, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, my mouth's all over here. Oh, how romantic. Give me a kiss." Like, so. He's awful, is what I'm saying. He is. Dickwad. He's a clear villain, which is why I'm convinced he's not the killer, because it's far too obvious.
Well, yeah, there's no way it could be. Unless that's the swerve, that you go, oh, no, it can't be him, it's too obvious, but then it is him.
Unless he's one of, 5 who killed her. It was like a pact.
I almost feel like that's more likely. Like, oh, it's not just one person, because that's why it's so confusing and there's no clear-cut evidence towards one person.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Definitely the juiciest stuff. Obviously, there was a lot of smaller things for different characters throughout this one. At one point, I want to point out the scene Donna goes to see Laura's mother, and she's just visiting. It's after a scene she has with her own mother, actually, about how she's feeling very conflicted with emotions because she's upset Laura's dead, but she's kind of happy that her and James have connected, and so I can almost read her going to see Laura's mother out of guilt, almost like she wants to go and try and be a friend to them.
Yeah, it's like she has to because she owes it to them.
Yeah, this maybe helps clear her conscience a little bit. And as expected, Laura's mother is very distraught and kind of crazy, and to the point where they're talking about how much they miss Laura, and we get this really cheesy effect of Laura's face coming over Donna's, and her mother starts reacting, "Oh, Laura, my baby," and she starts hugging her, and then we get probably the greatest WTF moment in the episode.
Yep.
Where she sees a man who's crouched down next to the chair, looking sort of through, beneath the arm of the chair. There's like a sort of, you get chairs where there's like a hole where the arm, under the arm.
Yeah.
And I'm just visually describing it for the audience, more so than you.
Like most computer chairs.
Exactly.
Say.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. And this guy with long hair, a bit of stubble, but most of the long hair, just staring at her. Really creepy. And she starts freaking out, and that's when the scene ends. But
it's such a weird scene, because obviously it was weird having her see Laura, but you can kind of go, okay, makes sense. They're talking about it. She misses us. She's projecting.
Mm.
But then it's like, where the hell did that come from?
Lynch.
You can't use that as an answer for everything.
Speed Force, bro. Ain't got to explain shit.
That is essentially the equivalent that this is, isn't it?
Yeah, David Lynch basically just makes a lot of things where the Speed Force is there, but the Speed Force, instead of being a tangible thing that you talk about, is a metaphysical thing that no one knows. Anyway, so I like that. The other thing that's interesting in this episode, and again, a very small scene, the other girl who escaped, whoever killed Laura, we see a scene with one of the deputies talking to the parents, the long-haired one, not Andy, who cries at all the dead bodies. I'd have remembered Andy because he's funny.
Deputy Hawk.
Hawk, oh, that's a cool name, Deputy Hawk.
It's Tommy Hawk Hill.
Tommy Hawk. Yeah. Oh, Tomahawk. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I realised that on camera.
It was worth it for that reaction of your realisation.
Tomahawk. Yeah, so there's a scene where he's talking to her parents and just doing general police cleanup, asking about the daughter and so on. And we get introduced to another sort of famous thing that you might have heard of from Twin Peaks is the one-armed man.
Mm.
We see a one-armed man get off the elevator, and Deputy Hawk. I'm never going to forget his name now. By the way.
No, that's it. Solidified. That's exactly why it's there.
Yeah. Deputy Hawk notices him, and he follows him, down the long hallway. And he goes into a door, it's got really harsh blue light, and there's a sign saying morgue this way and something else this way. But he doesn't see where he is. So it's almost horror movie villain-esque, where he's disappeared into thin air, and he doesn't know where he's went. So he gives up his search. But, yeah, the one-armed man.
It's just, like I say, there's a lot of just things in this. There's no explanation, there's nothing built on them. It's just one time that, oh, this exists. This is a thing that we'll likely come back to at some point.
Yeah. Other small details. Ed, Jason's uncle, remember he was in the road bar, the Raiders bar in the last episode. He reveals that he thinks his drink was spiked, and that's why he passed out. So I don't have anything to say about it, just plot point. I mean, obviously
it's something that to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, because I don't think I have anything to speculate on it just now, but it happened. Just acknowledging it was there. Yeah. Other small things. Actually, here's something that I'd forgotten about. This is, again, an example of how many relationships there are on this show that I'd forgotten. Bobby's buddy that he's with in the jail cell, they bring up, when they notice at the end of the episode, James goes to Donna's house for dinner. And, he meets her parents, and they sit down, and they have a nice little moment. They're outside in the car, and they see that he's there, and, Bobby's pissed, and then his friend goes, oh, first your girlfriend, now mine. I'm like, oh, yeah, they did have a scene in the last episode where he was awful to her. Not as bad as Leo, but very demanding all the same.
Yeah, there's just so many that you can't remember them all at once.
Yeah, so I'd actually forgotten they were a thing, and then I was like, oh.
This is what I mean about how the show is still teaching us. It's like, here, you might have forgotten this one. Here's a reminder.
Such a web of intricate. Speaking of Bobby, there's a scene with his parents. His dad, who's a general, giving him this speech and so on. But I think that just more than anything else, it gives us a sense of what his dad's like.
Yeah, what his home life is.
It's like
this strict family.
Well, he's strict, but at the same time, he's understanding of it. It's like, you have to rebel. I understand rebellion at your age is very important, but I have to also, as your father, I'm obligated to keep it within the restraints of the law. And
yeah.
So it's very overly thought out the way his father parents. So again, another small scene worth mentioning.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Of course, the big scene at the end, the big reveal, of course, is who has the other half of the heart. We've seen it being dug up at the end of the last episode, so it's kind of similar theme here. We've ended with the heart.
Yeah. And
so the other half of the heart is the psychiatrist, Jacoby, who has it. Yeah. Inside a coconut.
Yeah.
Which I don't think the inside the coconut's important. I just like adding that as a detail because
it's his hiding place.
It just sounds really cool. Yeah, in a coconut.
Obviously, when we did this last review, you mentioned how that was the one thing you remembered.
Yes.
Who took it, and I really expected it to be at least 3 or 4 episodes till we found out. I wasn't expecting it in this one.
Do you know why I remember? I remember the reason why I even started trying to watch Twin Peaks, and this probably shows you how long ago I watched season 1 when I first watched it. I think it was when Lost was still on.
Right.
And I'd heard that Lost had a lot to thank Twin Peaks for in terms of building a mystery. And I think I remembered this reveal because it felt very much like a Lost-esque reveal of a connection that you didn't know about before or something like that. And I remember it being really like, oh crap, yeah, okay, we're getting to some juicy stuff now. I like the reveal, and obviously as he reveals that he's got it, we also see that he's listening to a tape. Laura was recording kind of, I guess, an audio diary, kind of almost like what she would say to a therapist when just without actually being there, kind of thing. And he's listening to it, and he seems to be obsessed with her. He seems to be deeply,
definitely
into the recording. Another small detail I loved about this scene, I love that his the headphones he's using are like proper cans. Like, as someone who's actually went out and filmed stuff, these are the type of headphones that we use.
Yeah, they're like studio cans, aren't
they? Big proper chunky studio cans. Yeah. I thought that was amusing. That just this therapist happens to have a set of cans.
Also, it raises the question of how did he know where to go to dig up the heart?
If I was to guess, because the last episode we had him like going around with a flashlight, I think he would have been spying. He would have seen it being buried. I think he would have witnessed that event.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's a logical answer.
Who he followed there, I'm not sure, or if maybe he was out in the woods and then he heard them come by.
Yes, perhaps. If it is that he followed one of them in particular, it's like, why was he following that person? Like, what was his motive specifically? If
it was James, is he jealous because he's in love with Laura, or was in love with Laura?
Yeah.
If it's Donna, then I don't even know what to speculate there, but...
No, it's just interesting as to why he was there. What was his motive for that?
Yeah, I'm sure that's something we can dig into as we go. Other small points. Audrey's father does. Well, it doesn't figure out. He questions her and realizes she was to blame for getting rid of the businessman that he was trying to make a deal with. Yeah. So he's pissed at her. That's a small detail. Other small detail: he is having an affair with Pete's wife. You know, the sister of the guy who owned the mill. Getting all the connections, and we see a scene with them having their affair. So a lot of small things building things up, and it's funny because there's a few characters that I know. I remember them being in it, but they've not popped up yet. So I know there's still some characters to put more. It's probably terrifying because
more names.
How many? Oh, one final scene I do want to talk about actually. Waitress in the diner who's not Shelley, Norma.
Yes.
She runs into Ed's wife, Eye Patch Lady.
Yes, when she's talking about her drapes and making it silent.
Her drapes again, yes. She's talking about her drapes. And it kind of feels like she suspects there's an affair because she's like, I was waiting up till 4 a.m. for my husband who was in the intensive care. And, well, she's a bit extreme. He just passed out. I don't know if intensive care is...
Depends what it passed out from.
I guess.
But, I mean, it depends if it's a recurring thing. It might be a pre-existing condition. They're like, well, let's keep an eye on this.
If his drink was just spiked, though, probably not.
Well, yeah. Maybe that's more concerning though. It's like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Why are you passing out?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they had to pump his stomach or something like that.
Could be
possible. But yeah, so she runs into her and we get this wonderful... Again, this was a callback to something in episode 1. It was the drapes. So it was all this talk about the drapes and the cotton balls. And again, I just want to acknowledge that scene happened and just how wonderfully quirky it was.
It was. It stands out as an oddity amongst the other weird scenes because this one almost feels like it's two almost normal people, just not quite. Whereas a lot of the others are more overtly, no, this is just weird.
Yeah. So we get more details about the case. We have One-Armed Man, we have Log Lady, we have various other oddities. We've got Mysterious Vision Man with long hair who appeared behind the chair. All these elements all in play.
Yeah. Man, so much.
That's episode 2.
Packs a lot into every episode, doesn't it?
It is. So I don't know if this review flows as well as maybe some of the other shows because of the way it does just kind of continue
jump
everything
around. Yeah.
And
it's hard to say like how you feel as well about an individual episode because it's like, okay, it's just the next piece. It doesn't do anything to serve its own episode.
Yeah, like most other shows, I could give each episode a rating out of 10 probably. We don't do that, but we could. Like I could do it.
Yeah.
I could say, oh, this episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. is this episode of Westworld was this. With this, though, it's kind of...
It feels like maybe once I got to like the end, I could look back and go, right, how did that service the overall thing?
Yeah.
Whereas now it's just like, okay, it's doing stuff, but I really need to wait and see how things pay off before I have any real opinion.
But importantly, I was not bored through any of this. It was all entertaining.
It was.
And all the case details were interesting. I liked the twist at the end was cool. I'm intrigued by the one-armed man and the division.
Yeah. I almost wonder if these reasons that we're talking about are why it's got this humour sprinkled throughout, just to make sure you're still engaged in every episode, that you know, even if you don't get anything specific out of the episode, you'll enjoy watching it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The humour, especially from Cooper and Cole.
Yes.
And Lucy, who works at the station. Like, all that stuff works really well, and it makes you just enjoy being around the characters.
Yeah, I think that's important in a show like this.
Yeah, so there you go. That's episode 2 of Twin Peaks. We'll be back next week. You might actually be getting 2 episodes next week because we're moving to later in the week. We done it. We started off a little bit earlier because we had Netflix binges to do. But next week we'll be going back. We'll be going to what will be the normal time of towards the end of the week. But we don't want to make you wait a week and a half between them. So you're going to be getting one a bit earlier, and then one at the end, and then it'll be towards the end of the week from then on. But yeah. So that's been episode 2. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Remember, we're also working through the original Star Trek series as well as part of Already Cancelled, so you can check those out too. And yeah, and remember the new season's coming in May.
Yeah, and of course we'll be covering that, obviously.
So thank you very much for watching, like and subscribe and all that stuff. Helps us out a lot. Keep watching Twin Peaks, and we'll see you next time.